Joining me now is Congressman Michael McCaul, ranking member on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, good to talk to you. So these attacks over the weekend, early Monday morning, our time, or their time rather, were designed to take away these militias' ability to attack U.S. forces. Clearly, they weren't that effective.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the biggest threat in the region right now to our soldiers and our embassy are these Iran militia proxies that are in Syria and in Iraq. President Biden took out several of them about 2 months ago, and just recently as well. And so it is, you know, when you talk about authorized use of military force, you know, the Democrats repealed the 2002 AUMF, which President Trump used as authorization to take out Qasem Soleimani, the mastermind of terror for 2 decades in the region, which was highly effective against the Iranian forces in the IRGC. So I think what they're doing is taking power away from Congress and giving it all to the president under Article 2. I hope it doesn't pass the Senate.
Yeah, these attacks were also meant to be a deterrent against future attacks, and not just take away their ability to do it, but say, you better not, or we're going to strike you again. Right. Pentagon spokeswoman Jessica Minolti saying, quote, "We seek to make clear to Iran and Iran-backed militia groups that there will be serious consequences if they continue to attack or arm, fund, and train militia groups that attack our people." Clearly, Iran and the militia groups didn't get the message.
Well, I don't think they will. I mean, I think they're going to continue to attack our forces. And at the same time, you know, this administration is trying to enter into negotiations on the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, with this hardliner just elected to be president of Iran. And we're very worried that they're going to take us down a bad path here that's going to embolden and empower Iran, and then give them billions of dollars, which is what we did under the JCPOA, that they can turn around and put into terror financing, which they do so well in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza with Hamas.
Right. You were earlier this morning testifying at this Republican House hearing into the origins of coronavirus. You and some of your colleagues will be releasing a report on what you know about the origins of COVID next month. Let me paraphrase Donald Rumsfeld here and ask you, Congressman, what are the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns?
Well, I think we're getting more evidence coming in. For instance, Dr. Fauci said, quote, "Holy shit, they lied to us in January of 2020 about transmission." The WHO lied to us, didn't control this pandemic. We know those are all facts. We also know that the cover-up was massive by the Chinese Communist Party. I always call it the greatest cover-up in human history. But what we're finding out, John, it's new, is that actually it probably started back in September in Wuhan. We had these athletic military games in October where we had over 9,000 people from all around the world competing, and they came back with flu-like symptoms that were consistent with COVID. By the way, all this takes place around the old Wuhan lab, which is very close to the wet market. Yeah. And we also have found out now that they were doing this gain of function research, which is basically genetic modification of the virus to make it more lethal and more highly infectious.
Yeah, one of the big questions is, was any U.S. money used for that? Let me ask you just to go back a second, because that quote went by pretty quick. The quote from Dr. Fauci that you issued right at the top, was that a direct quote? Where was it from?
From Bob Woodward, who I trust.
Okay.
Fauci told him that, and that was in January of 2020, when people didn't even know about the virus or that it was transmissible from human to human, and the WHO would not report and warn the world, which is why we had a global pandemic.
Got it. So 34 million people in this country, at the very least, have had coronavirus. More than 604,000 have died from it. How is it that Republicans want to get to the bottom of where COVID came from, but Democrats don't?
You know, I got to tell you, John, I'm baffled. I chaired the China task force. It was supposed to be bipartisan, and then Pelosi bailed out at the last minute, saying it was a diversion, perhaps because politically we were going into election. And I'll tell you, on the committee, they don't realize that the threat from the CCP. I don't quite understand their reluctance to call out China on one of the worst things done to mankind in my lifetime.
Yeah, it is kind of puzzling. Congressman, we got to run, but thank you very much for spending time, and we'll continue to watch that hearing going on right now. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, John.